What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Lounge, episode 29 to be exact. This is a dope episode. I brought on another guest, a dope guest. He is no stranger to the channel. He's been on here for a while now. Everybody, welcome to the Captain's Lounge. My guy, Unlucky Dreamer. What's good, dog?
Yo, it's good. It's good to be here, man. Want to talk about some relationships?
Yeah, man. So I brought you on because you had a dope video that I'll put in the link in the description probably after this goes up and finishes up. But you were talking about what you thought were bad relationships within comic books, more specifically, more of the Marvel and DC side of things. And I
Yeah,
thought it was an interesting conversation to kind of get into what your thoughts were, but also kind of dive a little bit deeper into the conversation around generally relationships in comic books and kind of pros and cons of those and how those operate. But
yeah.
first and foremost, you kind of want to, I guess, maybe not recap the video, but kind of give your, I guess, a summary of your thoughts on some of the stuff.
I was just recapping what I thought were just bad relationships in comic books in general, like things that should have never been tested, and things that I hope we never see again. Things like Batman and Batgirl. It should never happen.
You know, that one in particular always bothers me. And mostly because of the grooming aspect of it, especially when it comes to like, I think it's more of a Bruce Timm thing than it maybe a Paul Dini thing. But that's always
Definitely.
been like a weird thing with them where Bruce Timm in general is kind of more of a pervert, and you'll see him like draw a lot of the characters in the animated series like with Harley doing weird wild shit. He'll like draw pictures of him smacking her smacking Poison Ivy on the ass and different stuff like that. So he's always been kind
Yeah.
of weird. So the fact that he wrote this miniseries where Batman got Barbara pregnant, I was just like, okay, it makes sense coming from you because you're a weird dude. You're a real weird dude when it comes to
Yeah.
this stuff.
And also like hurts more because like our childhood and it just like taints it a little bit more because you like look at it with a different lens. Like you're just watching it. It's like this is actually weird. This shouldn't have happened at all.
And I'm cool. I get an age gap. I'm cool with a little age gap every now and then when it comes to some of the stuff. There's like, you'll see stuff like Monica Rambeau and Blue Marvel date. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, cool. There's a big age gap there, but I guess you can make it make sense. This in particular irritates me because he's like a mentor to her, first and foremost. And then you're
Yeah.
like best friends or at least colleagues with her dad too. So I'm just like, what is, I don't get the reasoning there for that.
And your son was dating her, and they had a whole child, and it's supposed to be yours, but it was weird. It's weird.
I think Bruce, not Bruce, I think Dick and her were engaged too in that comic where like he got her pregnant, if I remember right.
I can't remember correctly. I just know that he was gone for a little bit, and then he came back, and she said she was pregnant, but he hadn't been back in time for that baby to be his.
Yeah, that's
So it
insane.
just
But even that being the case, funny enough, I don't think Barbara and Dick honestly make the best relationship either. But I think that was kind of your same sentiments, right?
yeah, I don't think they make the best relationship because of the family dynamic that they have, like growing up. Of course, they're gonna have like a little. Well, Dig's gonna have a little crush on her,
Right.
but I think ultimately, like growing up, him having different life experiences, her having different life experiences, I don't think they should end up together. Me personally.
Yeah, and I feel like so this kind of comes into the main premise of kind of what I wanted to dive into when it comes to this conversation is the aspect of what these relationships serve to do for a character. Because I feel like there are usually two lenses that relationships are tackled from writers. There are the surface level ones that I think a writer like a Bruce Timm or an artist like a Bruce Timm, and sometimes in that same fashion a writer like Paul Dini does, where these women are or women or men are like prizes to be won. And I feel like I see this a lot too
Yeah,
with like Mary Jane, a lot of different Spider-Man stuff to where when she's not with Peter, she's like this elusive prize that he has to like earn through him being a better person or going through whatever he's going through. And then on the other side, you have it to where they're probably better written characters to where you could probably look at like a Lois Lane and a Superman to where their partners help to enhance who they are as people and kind of make them want
yeah.
to be better or like push them to be better. So they're more of an active participant in the character development of the main character versus just this thing, this trophy form essentially.
hmm I can. There's a issue or there's a comic arc with Green Arrow and Black Canary where
Mm-hmm.
that sentiment was kind of used because Oliver had just came back to life and he was kind of like hiding from his family, and when he finally like gets with Black Canary, he wants to act like he's still that guy on top like he's not a loser basically, just so
Right.
he can be with her. And it was Hawkman who was basically saying you're acting like a loser and you just are trying to uh kind of build a facade about yourself so you can be with Black Canary, even though she probably wouldn't even care about that because she loves you for you. And it was an interesting comic arc to say the least because he's very much trying to win her back, even though he never lost her in the first place.
Those are tough. So I think in that same scenario, in that same vein, we brought up the marriage. Well, at least I brought up the Mary Jane and the Peter Parker stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel like that's in the same. I feel the same in the same vein of in regards to Peter is always trying to earn her, but I feel like it kind of goes into the other side of that coin, into which is an issue with their relationship, where I feel like their relationship and other people's relationship within comics kind of run too long, and that's more so just happening due to the fact that this character has been around for so many years that there's
Yeah.
so like damn near every turn or different way you could like to go into the relationship has damn near been done.
Mm-hmm.
And at least with Spider-Man, I feel like there's kind of the two lanes. There is pre Brand New Day, then there's post Brand New Day, where post Brand New Day, Peter is miserable, for lack of a better term, where he's going through all the worst shit possible, and then he's not with Mary Jane, and he's always trying to aspire to get with her. And
Yeah.
then you have these others. So maybe there's like certain distractions here and there where like maybe he'll deal with Silk, he'll deal with Felicia. I think he was dealing with what's the old girl from the X-Men? Shadowcat,
Kitty
Kitty
Pryde.
Pryde. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he'll deal with different people like that as a distraction, but it's always I feel like goes back down to Mary Jane at some point in fashion. Then there's pre Brand New Day where it's like where a lot of people like to see this stuff at, and I think that's where you'll get stories like even the more recent stuff with Ultimate Spider-Man now, with the new Ultimate Spider-Man, where you get to see Peter and Mary Jane in a situation where they've been married and together for a while and have kids. And there's different little instances like that throughout history in comics where you'll see them together and having this family and they get to grow. And it's interesting seeing that dichotomy of Peter not being allowed to grow up because it's I think I've seen like the editors in past or people talk about the editors discuss the whole idea of Peter needing to be miserable because it's
Yeah.
relatable to people.
I would relatable is a weird thing to say about being miserable, but I remember who was it? The guy writing Superman Unlimited right now. He's a big Spider-Man writer. I'm not super familiar with him. But I can't remember his name right now. But he basically said he was overhauling everything Spider-Man in his run, but when he had to stop it, he had to bring everything back to the status quo, and that's what just kind of irked me a little bit. Because why would you do all this work to change the character, to evolve the character, just to bring it back to the status quo for the next writer? Because he said it was like equivalent to playing with toys. You're gonna put the toys back exactly how you left them, so the next person can play with the toys in a different way. But I don't think that is how it's supposed to go with stories. Really, it's just it's not a great way to progress characters if you have to restart them every single time a new writer gets on the book.
And I get the sentiment he has there in regards to like kind of making it easy for the next writer to take over. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, that's part of the issue I have with stuff like X-Men or Spider-Man, where it's this continuous run going on and you have new writers coming in during it. I'd rather you just
Yeah,
finish the story you're telling and we can start a new Spider-Man story. We don't have to have this continuous volume going forever and ever and ever. We can just end because you're gonna start a new one anyway. You're gonna do the ultimate stuff. You're gonna do different variations of the character. So just let this story end and then put another writer on this one. If you have to have like four Spider-Man stories going at once or four Batman stories going at once, cool, have them going, but at some point you got to have them end. And I think when you give them ability to end is when writers can actually kind of spend more time fleshing out and coming up with an actual good ending for these stories. But also, I do know again, there's like the issue of like the editors can be very heavy-handed with how they change stuff, especially with Spider-Man,
yeah,
and
and
what they feel like is
Batman.
the right thing. Oh, we gonna
Yeah,
get the Batman. We gonna get the
yeah.
him and Selena is a whole different fucking. Oh, that's a different bag of fucking nails to go through.
I can kind of understand Batman's position in the universe a little bit more because they don't want to make him happy because he started off not happy. It's a difference with Spider-Man because he's supposed to be a kid. But I think he should have been married to Selena, but the editors didn't want that, and I don't think Tom King wanted that either. But that's like the only gripe I have with Tom King's run is that he didn't get to marry Selena and Bruce, and they ended up kind of like in a civil war a little bit. It was an odd breakup. It was definitely an odd breakup, but they're definitely meant for each other. It's just because of circular storytelling, you can't really
Mm.
tell the full story of these characters when it's so clear that they're better together than they are apart, but they won't ever let them be together.
It's always so irritating to me because they're cool with having something like a Batman Incorporated or like different stories where he has his entire family and even colleagues that are around him, but he can't have his wife or his significant. I don't understand why that's an issue. If he can have
Yeah,
loving people around him, then he should probably be able to have a wife around him. And that's why I really enjoyed. I can't remember. It may have been Tom King, but I can't remember who wrote the more recent arc about them getting married, or it ended up having Selena standing
yeah,
up at the
Tom
altar, or
King.
whatever. Maybe, yeah, up and like building up into the wedding. I thought that was dope. I really enjoyed them having like she was
Yeah,
essentially his Robin, essentially at that standpoint, but she could challenge him in ways that Robin couldn't challenge him. And I think
and
that's
they
something
were
about
like
Batman I
meeting
enjoy.
people. Hmm. They were like meeting people, all his friends in Justice League, and it was them trying to kind of like accept that. Well, Catwoman's not a bad person. She's just a what's the word? She's a lot more explorative, I think, in
Mm,
her righteousness than a lot of these heroes are, and that's just his friends kind of had to come to terms with that a little bit because he's come to terms with it, so they have to. And was that was really cool to build up to, and then they kind of ruined it with the wedding a little bit, a lot of it.
yeah, that's I guess the kind of like parallel the Spider-Man stuff. We've again for the most part they've kept Peter and Batman miserable. I don't say miserable all the time. I know Peter's been mostly miserable. It feels like, but they've kind of kept
Mm-hmm.
them alone for the most part and had them have their flings with different people here and there. But I
Yeah.
really feel like we actually get so much development from these characters when they're able to grow and change. Peter more so than Batman, just because Batman is a little bit older. But when we
Mm-hmm.
get to see Peter in different instances, especially again, I always point to the more recent run with the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, just because he has an actual whole family, and it seems like they're in a healthy relationship where they communicate. They're not hiding things from one another. They're even when they feel like off about something, they have that open to. They have a really healthy relationship. So getting to see what that version of Peter looks like as far as how he can grow and whatnot, I feel like I would want to see that with Bruce. And I feel like we can get it in more of a healthier version, maybe Batman Beyond, where we're seeing an older, more pissed off, more irritated Bruce, just because he's old and lonely. If we could get
Mm-hmm.
that age of a Bruce, but have it to where he actually had a family, or he at bare minimum was married to Selena for a minute, and seeing what does this
Yeah.
Batman now look like after he's had time to grow and change and had love for a long period of time. I feel like we've never gotten to see that version of Bruce. It's always a really resentful, irritable version of him.
I would like to see that because that's my like biggest gripe with Batman Beyond is to get to Batman Beyond, you have to have Bruce become very lonely and very like turned off to the whole world, and his whole family has turned their back on them. I would rather see a Bruce Wayne that's just gotten too old to put on the suit, and but then that like comes into the factor of like how would any of his sons or daughters not pick up the cow themselves before Terry does? But I would. It makes sense for his character to end more happy than it does in Batman Beyond because it's kind of like a bad ending if you want Batman Beyond, but if you want a good ending, I don't think you would get Terry McGinnis in the first place.
So again, we can go through this hypothetical writers' room here, right? Where we could
Mm-hmm.
say, obviously, I think Tyr McGinnis and his creation obviously comes anyway, just because that was more of an Amanda Waller thing. He didn't really have the decision in the matter. So we can
Yeah.
have him just be created or born or from the same means. I think where I would probably have went in the direction of instead of just having it to where he only got too old. Like you could have the same. You could even have this beginning of the series where he got too old and his heart was given out and he couldn't be Batman fully. The way you could
Mm-hmm.
have things changed in regards to why nobody else picked up the cow in the Bat family was one, the idea that people wanted to like change and grow outside of that, because I think that's something that's not explored enough. I feel like maybe in Kingdom Come has talked about it a little bit, but the idea that heroes don't want to be heroes forever. You want to settle down at some point because the constant turmoil, the constant flirting with death and fighting, it can get old, especially if you're somebody that already has kids. Like if you're a Superman and you have John Kent already, yeah, you're Superman, you have the ability to do so, but at some point, I gotta look at it the same way like your athlete will look at it. Like if you're looking at like Steph or Kobe, whatever it may be, you have a family and you put this thing first your entire life and you train for it and it gives you purpose. At some point, though, you want to be a father to your family. You want to be a family man at some point. And it would, I feel like it just makes logical sense. So let's say maybe Dick or Tim have that be the case, and just because I don't fucking like Jason Todd like that, maybe have it to where Jason Todd gets killed while he's in the suit, while he takes on the cowl. So that at that point, Batman's like, yeah, nobody else is doing this shit because we lost Jason again to this shit. So you can still have, because obviously in this same version, if everything remained the same, Dick probably still doesn't fuck with Bruce because of the whole Barbara stuff. Barbara's still distant because of this, of the fact
Oh,
that
you're
she went
talking
through
about
like,
the DCAU?
yeah, because from what I remember, there was that miniseries comic where he got her pregnant that was like leading up into
Yeah.
Batman Beyond. That was Florida. So we could keep all that the same,
Yeah.
but literally the only difference is Jason tries to take up the cowl, he dies, and then Tim wants to live on his other life and just grow past this role, and he goes and does whatever he's doing. Because I can't remember what they. I remember reading the comics a while back, and I can't remember what he went off to go do post to that family.
He was kind of like fired because the Joker kidnapped him and made him
Oh
like
yeah,
Joker
yeah.
Jr.
I forgot about yeah. He like took on some regular like maintenance job or something like that because after that experience,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we keep all that the same. Literally, the only person that's unaccounted for in that situation is Jason Todd. So this happened to where Jason Todd tries to take up the mantle. He dies to whatever means, and then Batman is like, "All right, cool. One of my sons died doing this because I couldn't keep doing it. I'm just gonna shut this thing down." And then you just lead up into Terry McGinnis eventually doing what he does, and then boom, there
But
you
I
go. You got
still
a
think
whole
that ends
series.
like it still ends with him being. It starts with him being sad and lonely in the first place because Dick doesn't fuck with him. Tim's gone. Jason's dead.
I think that's
I
at
would
that point
like
though.
him to be happy
That's where you can
though.
insert Selena though, where she's still there during the entire. Because my whole thing is just because Selena's around, I don't need him to be like the happiest person ever, but I do need
Yeah.
somebody to at least like be that like that ain't that tether point to him where he doesn't go too far off. So maybe it's the thing where like Selena's kind of helping him not go too far off. And hell, if you want to write a story where like older Selena dies to whatever measures and he spirals out, cool. But I think having her around to kind of help ground him, I think he'd still come to the conclusion of wanting to shut it down after Jason would die. I think you just have that whole thing to where he's not as depressed as he was in the original version, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that could work in my mind, but maybe it's just me giving me another chance to kill off Jason Todd. I don't know. That could be my own selfish way of doing that.
Jason Todd has a lot of potential. He's on my list for potential man, but he's just not utilized well. I think in DC, and if we bring it to the comics for Batman Beyond, it just there's too many people to take up that cow that if they didn't, by the time Batman Beyond happens, it just doesn't make sense. It couldn't happen. But he could definitely be happy at that point. I think the only way it could happen is if Dick continues being Nightwing and Bruce is like, just don't be Batman. He's not in Gotham. Jason is an outlaw. Tim is on the Justice League or with the Titans. And the one I can't get my head around is Damian, because Damian is obsessed with the cow. But now they're kind of writing him a little way where he wants to heal people more than fight people. So maybe that makes sense. But and then there's Cass. She's gonna be Batman. Like there's no way she's not Batman.
You know, I'm trying to think because I can't remember when Cassandra was made. Because I feel like when Batman Beyond first dropped, I don't think she existed quite yet, or at least she wasn't in the Bat family at that point. To my mind,
I think the same year she premiered in 1999.
Okay, yeah, because I'm pretty. I don't remember the. I remember in the Batman Beyond animated series, they had the whole episode arc where like Damian, or no, it was in the comics where Damian was around and he was like the leader of the League of Shadows. But I don't remember them ever doing anything with her. I gotta find the comic. It was a comic because at this point in this comic, Terry's little brother was like the new Robin, and but he was still Batman. And I can't remember if his brother got kidnapped or there was some reason why he had to fight the League of Shadows. And Damian Wayne was a leader of the League of Shadows at that point, and he was like
it was like actually his son.
Yeah, it was actually that version of Damian. but it was a
That's
comic, so I think
interesting.
that was a little bit later on. I gotta. It was during like the last solo run that I think he had before they shelved Terry forever until recently. Which I don't know if you've read the crossover, the new crossover comic, the limited series with Batman Beyond the Static.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got it. I got like 3 of the variants over there.
Yeah, I recorded the video for it like yesterday, so I should probably have that up maybe sometime tomorrow. But we could talk about that a little bit here.
All
But
right.
yeah, the idea of relationships in comics, I don't know. I feel like they can be a great tool, but I feel like, and I know I've said that a million times, Jesus Christ, comic books, at least comic writers, tend to use these relationships as like this new thing to spice up things, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where you'll have the character do this regular character thing, and we need something to like to change the status quo or the routine of this character. Cool, we'll give him a love interest, and then we'll just have that love interest either be one of two things: to where it's the Gwen Stacy approach, to where he's splitting his identity and his being a superhero with that person. So you have that whole dynamic of him not revealing who he is and having to live that life on some Peter Parker shit, or you have it
Yeah.
to where they're this either a superhero with you, or you have it to where it goes like the Selena Kyle route, to where she's like an anti-hero. So now you're dealing with that morality issue there. Those are usually the three realms I see at least a female love interest presented in when it comes to a comic book run. And although those are cool, I feel like they've got this really cliche at this point. And
Yeah.
I feel like you can still have a romance. I'm not saying don't have them at all in comics, but I feel like we need to start being more intentful with the purpose of them in regards to how does this relationship teach this main character any kind of lesson or responsibility? Is he learning to be more of a human because of this person? Is this person enabling him in a sense to be more of a bad person? Like what is the reasoning for this relationship? I feel like we're just at this point we're bringing in characters to be in a relationship just because, or we're using them as a way to just draw another woman half naked on screen for whatever reason, or not on screen, but on page for whatever reason, just because.
Yeah. We could look at maybe like Superman, who's been with Lois Lane pretty much his whole comic
Mm-hmm.
run, and there was that time in the New 52 where he was dating Wonder Woman, but we don't talk about that. For the
Yeah.
most part, they've been together, and it's been different stages of their relationship where she doesn't know, then she does know, then they're married, then they're not married. But at the whole time, they're growing as people, as she's a
Mm-hmm.
reporter, as he's a writer, and he's also Superman. They've grown to be better people just because of their relationship. But how do they get a story like that, but everybody else gets broken relationships with everybody they've been encountered with?
I think
Doesn't
what makes them work as well, or at least it makes it look better, is the fact that they haven't slutted her out to like every person in the fucking in the group. Like when I look at Barbara, she's been with feels like everybody in the Bat family, even Batman himself. Where I'm like, all
yeah,
right, dog, what are we doing here? Because or I
yes.
think I had the same issue with like with Carol Ferris and Hal, where in the end of the Jeff John run, they had this cool little relationship, and then like immediately after, I think after Brightest Day, she's in a relationship with oh my god, I'm blanking on Buddy's name, Kyle Rayner, like right after the fact. So I'm
I
like, you went from Hal Jordan to dating his coworker. Like, why are we being this messy here? Why is this shit this toxic?
because Kyle Rayner has a very his love life is actually weird. Like it has a lot of love interests that
Yeah,
end up dead and end up in worse situations than they were before they met him. I think he got the kiss of death. Honestly, he doesn't have a good love life at all. Because he started the fridge term, right?
yeah. The
With
fridge thing started with
his
him with his girl, yeah, being found in the fridge.
yeah.
Which I can't remember if that was Cyborg Superman that did that or who did that. I think it was Cyborg Superman.
It no, it
I
was
can't remember.
I know the guy. He was literally in that one movie with Superman and Batman. I'm forgetting his name, but he's a Kyle Rayner villain. It wasn't
Oh,
Cyborg Superman.
I'm thinking about that was the Coast City thing with him and Hal. I'm tripping on with Cyborg
Yeah, it
Superman. Okay.
was. It's a guy like Captain Adam though. I forgot his name,
Oh, you're
but he's
talking about Sergeant. I know who you're talking about. He's like yeah, like you say he's like the evil
Force. Is
or
it Force?
Major Force. I think.
Yeah, Major Force. Yeah, Major Force. That's who it
I'm
was.
googling it up right now just to make sure I'm tripping. I'm not tripping. Yeah, Major Force. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that guy's a
yeah.
lunatic.
That, I want to see him in more stuff too. I want to see Captain Atom in more stuff as a whole in general.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that maybe the Kingdom Come fan in me where I want to see more of that stuff. But
he was in Kingdom Come.
hmm? No, I'm talking
Captain
about
Out.
Captain Atom was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a whole thing where like in the second half of it to where I think he was fighting Shazam or some reason why like Captain Atom was there like caused like an explosion to happen.
That
Am I
that
tripping?
Shazam fight was with Superman, if I remember correctly. I have it here.
Kingdom Come.
All right. I don't really, I don't
Yeah, he's in
remember
there.
him. And I read
It's
this recently.
he's in there, but it's like this weird like gold and red version of him where he is torn open
Hmm.
and causes an explosion.
I mean, that makes sense. He's an atomic bomb.
Yeah, I think that I can't. Am I tripping? I could have sworn I remember him being in Kingdom Come.
That's the second time they've used him for that plot point as like a literal bomb. He
It
needs
gets kind
more
of old.
stories.
It gets kind of
Yeah.
old really quickly. Um, but I'm not. Yeah, he was a part of Magog's Justice Battalion. So he was on Magog side.
Oh, he was in
At
the
Magog.
flashback.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know for a
Uh,
fact he was there, but I can't remember I can't remember who he was fighting that caused him to fucking split and blow up.
yeah.
I gotta reread Kingdom Come. It's been a minute since I've read Kingdom Come.
Captain Atom and Firestorm might do something together because they're both walking bombs.
That'd be
That'd be
fire,
cool.
especially with the
Yeah.
whole transmutation aspect. Maybe Firestorm's the only way he can kind of keep Adam like under control or repair his suit like immediately because of like the transmutation thing.
Yeah. That would be really cool actually. And he's
But
getting a new series, so maybe.
so let me ask you this: in if you had to like, let's again we're putting you in the writer's chair here, and you're
Mhm.
writing a comic book and you have to involve a love interest, what is a alternative route that you would go down that's a little bit different from the norm that you can maybe think of in regards to how you introduce somebody? And maybe to make this easier,
Mhm.
let's say you have Spider-Man, right? Because we'll go over reliable. You have Spider-Man, and you have to introduce a new love interest. We'll give him his own version of Paul, essentially.
Well, if it's a version of Paul, we don't really need to do much. We can just introduce this girl and have him be married with her. We don't know anything about her. We can just introduce her that the love of his life. I think that if you want to
That's
do Paul, but I think if you want to do something like what's a good Marvel-ish, like Luke Cage and Power, I'm forgetting her
Jessica
name,
Jones.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Their relationship is literally just built off of uh understanding each other and uh working with each other when
Mm-hmm.
things are not the greatest. And I think you have to for Spider-Man, if you don't want Mary Jane ever again, it has to be someone that finds him as Lois and maybe someone at their Lois as well, so they can
Mm-hmm.
just start building each other up in the best way possible. But it'll get teared down again because of the way that we write comics in today's culture.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna go away anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much when we're talking about relationships because we can just think about our head canons. And that's honestly what I was trying to think about when I was making that video is our head canons. Who do you want to end up with each other in the perfect world? Because we don't live in a perfect world, so it's not going to end up in that way. So I don't really stress about it terribly. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't like certain relationships when they're on screen or on paper.
That's part of what I was struggling with. Because I was writing Reaper and like really contemplating, okay, do I want to involve a love interest in this story? If I, or at
Mm-hmm.
bare minimum, like I know I want to involve like strongly written women in there at some point, but I was really playing around with the idea of them being a love interest for the main character, um, and that whole idea. And I may have gotten to the point to where I don't know if I want to do that exactly, just because I feel like the idea of platonic friendships isn't explored enough.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm looking at something like Harley Quinn and Ivy, where for the most part, as far as I'm aware, when they were first introduced, Paul Dini didn't have any intention of them being romantically involved. I think I saw like an interview where he talked about them being like sisters in a relationship. and then later on you get into some weird stuff where Bruce Timm is also like putting them together for whatever reason, and then we get some of the weird shit like in the was it the Batman and Harley Quinn movie where she literally sexually assaults Dick at some point. Like they got Harley doing all kinds of wild shit, but at least for the Ivy relationship in particular, I felt like they should have at least just like stayed with the idea of them being friends a little bit longer or for a lot more
Mhm.
for a lot more time until you just like or before you just throw them into this whole romantic idea romantic relationship where they're just I feel like they don't that's another relationship where they don't enhance one another. It's like they're together for the aesthetics, not because of the characters. If that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
you could say. Have you watched Harley Quinn, the show?
The show, yeah. Honestly, I like the dynamic a lot more. I feel like because they go through their stuff, but they're communicating, and in
Mhm.
that particular show, I feel like they're written better because they enhance one another in that show. But I feel like we don't really get that dynamic too often in the comics.
Yeah, but I did think the relationship factor was like just thrown in very quickly out of a little bit out of nowhere, but it makes sense because you just know where these characters are going, like you know their history. But to
Mm-hmm.
just throw it in the way they did in like I think the end of season 2,
Yeah.
it kind of threw people off just a little bit because they didn't build up to it. It was just like a oopsie daisy, and then they
Am
Harley
I
started to
gay?
get
Oh
feelings and
no.
yeah, but that's like the type of relationships that I think most people could vibe with when it's just something that's gonna happen naturally more
Mm-hmm.
than like you meet girl, you meet boy, or either way. And they just the story starts from there. Whereas you can start off as platonic friends and it doesn't have to go anywhere ever. Like Booster Gold up there, people
Mm-hmm.
love shipping him with
Him and
with
Ted
Blue
Kord.
Beetle,
Yeah.
and I don't know how else to say it, but they are super duper friends. But someone like Fire and Ice, those have you know about Fire and Ice?
I thought they were siblings for the longest time.
Actually, I thought they Fire's from I think
Brazil.
Brazil,
Yeah, she's Brazilian.
and Ice is from uh she's Norwegian. I always thought they were like from different countries in South America, but when I found out they were like from opposite countries, basically, she's in the frozen country, she's in the hot country. Uh, it just made the dynamic a little bit better. I thought they were more gonna be in a relationship, but they were never ever in a relationship. They're just very close friends, and that's she dated. I know Ice dated Guy Gardner. I'm not sure about Fire's love interest.
Yeah, I know they showed like they did like the Wally West thing in the animated series a little bit, like for a brief moment, but I don't know if that ever got flushed in anything outside of that.
Was that Fire Ice? I can't really
It was
remember.
fire. Remember they were on the
Yeah,
plane and then Hawk Girl like fucking made her fall into his lap and shit. So it was the whole thing.
yeah, he did the little spin cycle to like
Mm-hmm.
stay in there. Yeah, I remember that. But I think why they did that is because Ice was in a relationship with Guy Gardner at the time, and I don't think Fire had any known relationships. So they just thought, let's try to do something here because they're always doing that at DCAU. They had Jon Stewart and Hot Girl, Batman and
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. Uh, Superman had a couple,
And some of
but
those I enjoy. I think we kind of like. I don't know if we've seen it too often in comics since then, but I really enjoyed the Batman and Woman one.
yeah.
Probably for the same reason that I kind of enjoyed the Lois Lane and Superman one, just from the idea that you have this super person and this immortal being who can not. It sounds bad, but not check them, but really like be eye to eye with them. Because I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
reason the Superman and the Wonder Woman thing didn't work as much is because you kind of just have redundancy in regards to who they are, because they're damn near the same person. But with the Wonder Woman and Batman thing, they're so separate people, they're so different people, and they bring out different aspects of each other. Like Wonder Woman's bringing out the whole warmness of Bruce and making him kind of warm up the people a little bit more, and he's making her see the world a little bit more from a not pet, well, from a pessimistic lens a little bit, but more so making her see the world in a different way that she hadn't seen it before in regards to how she operates. Mostly because I think in that series she's still relatively new to Earth for the most part, or at least the man side, everything outside of Themyscira.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Honestly, it's probably why I enjoyed a little bit of the MJ and Peter stuff early on as well, because it was that whole dynamic of yeah, Peter is the super brawn and he has all these powers, but she's still the breadwinner at home, and she's still able to kind of like really challenge him on a lot of the ways that he thinks and the things that he does, just because she has that like fiery personality.
Yeah. Not a lot of people like Wonder Woman and Batman. Well, Wonder Woman fans don't like Wonder Woman and Batman. I
Yeah.
think because of the whole like power dynamic. The same thing with I think their situation is power dynamic and Wonder Woman and Superman is power fantasy. They both don't like those situations when it comes to her relationship. But Wonder Woman fans are a little picky. They don't like many of her relationships, to be fair.
Yeah, because I feel like it's not too different from her relationship with Trevor, with Steve Trevor.
They
Like
don't like that one either.
I don't, because I always see people go back to that. That's just like the like even with Absolute Wonder
Here's the
Woman.
classic one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
they still don't really like it for the I think they don't like it because of the political factors, because uh he's a soldier and
mm,
she's when she is like specifically in Tom King's run, when she is showing her grief towards his death, she's like holding the American flag because
they
he
use it
was
as
a
propaganda.
soldier. It's propaganda, but it's also he loved his country, she loved him, he died. It was actually his flag, like the little ceremonial flag
Mm-hmm.
that they give. It was that flag that she was holding and crying on. So it's not totally propaganda, but it's a little bit.
I don't like the flag idea, but I do like the idea that they're because she's essentially a soldier too. Like she's literally Amazonian. She's a soldier of the Mascara. So, and she's
She,
trained to have
yeah,
soldier
Amazon.
principles and like battle and things of that nature. So, the
Mm-hmm.
idea of having two soldiers from different parts of the world but have similar principles in regards to being soldiers, I thought that was just that's cool. Because my whole thing with a relationship, you need to have people that broaden the horizons of the other character. Like obviously, sometimes in real life, you do have people that have very similar interests and do the same things, and those work, those are possible. But I feel like some of the best relationships they at least see on television are people that are different from one another. So you get characters that get put outside of their comfort zone, and you can write around
Yeah,
that. I feel like it's hard
I
to
think
write characters when they're the same person.
yeah, and I think that's why that they probably don't mess with that relationship a lot. I like it. I mess with it, but I
Mm,
think they want more of the Barbara Minerva type relationship where it's her enemy,
mm,
kind of similar to Batman and Catwoman.
yeah.
But uh Minerva had a she's basically very, very greedy, very greedy. And that's what uh kind of fuels her hunger. And Wonder Woman's been trying to help her a lot, and she just can't get through to her. And it's almost like they're like this a little bit, but you can see that they clearly have much love for each other, but they're not able to act on it purely because of the situations that they're in.
Plus, I feel like Wonder Woman, and we've seen different versions of her, obviously, but I
Mm-hmm.
think at least the more prominent versions I've read from more use. I think Kelly Thompson's probably my favorite Wonder Woman writer from her the solo series, and then I'm pretty sure Kelly Thompson's writing Absolute Wonder Woman as well, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah,
Usually, her Wonder Woman seems to be a lot more mission oriented and like and she has like a strong code of ethics and morals that she doesn't stray from. She'll
yeah,
have like moments where she may like think to kind of stray from, but for the most part, she sticks to what she believes in. So her dating a person who is an outright criminal doesn't like because like trying to copy what Selena and Bruce doesn't seem as viable for her because she's super strong in her morals and ethics. While Batman, although he has like a to no kill rule, he teeters the lines on his morals and his ethics a lot in his time as
a
Batman.
lot.
So I see
All
that happening
his
more
love
often.
interests are villains. All of them.
Literally. Her though, I don't see that. I just don't see that from her. Hell, I don't really see that from Superman either, which I think why Lois works so much. Because
Yeah, I don't
super,
think.
because I can't think of anyone that was kind of like Selena, like in Batman's dating history. Not Batman, but Superman's dating history, or like an anti-villain that he dated.
If it was probably an alien of some sort. Because I don't, human wise, he hasn't dated many people, and the people that he has dated, they're nice people, um,
Yeah,
for the most part.
yeah. I think that the anti-hero shit only works for Bat. At least out of the Holy Trinity, it really only works for Batman for the most part. Because the other two are just so strong in their morality and their ethics and their code of justice.
It depends. I mean, Wonder Woman is she's always been written in different ways when it comes to the era, when it comes to the writer, whereas
Right.
Batman and Superman always has a through line, which is really weird. Every writer tries to come on Wonder Woman and be change the whole narrative of her mythos. They never
Mm-hmm.
build on what the writer did before them, unlike Batman and Superman. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why people get like different uh narratives about Wonder Woman. Like you think she's very uh law driven or she's black and white, and some people
Mm-hmm.
think she's very liberal with their thinking, thinking that if this is bad, I could stop that, I can kill them, and then over here, even though it's bad, I think it's just, and she's gonna keep it going. People have different iterations of Wonder Woman in their head because of different writers just reworking her character as soon as they get her.
So from the version I've seen of her, honestly, I feel like Wonder Woman is usually my favorite out of the heroes, just because I think she has what everybody wants. I think because people,
Mm-hmm.
I think what people despise, and to some extent with Superman and Batman, is the whole idea of like, all right, we don't kill, period. We don't kill our fucking villains. We don't do that. Wonder
Yeah,
Woman is like, if he's evil enough, I'm taking him off. I'm taking his head off. Like I'm
yeah,
not gonna let, I'm not gonna take out like innocent people or villains that may just like do small things like crime or whatever, like small, like stealing or whatever it may be. But if they're a fucking Joker level villain, I'm cutting their fucking head off. So she has that like in between of like, well, she'll eliminate a crazy threat, but she also has that compassion that you kind of get from Superman. She's kind of, at least in my opinion, like the best of both worlds of what you would want from like a hero. Now you're also calling into question of her decision making on who is the villain, I guess, and
yeah.
who's worthy of being killed. But I don't know. It's interesting line to kind of teeter.
But that's like the thing. Some people will think that, but then you have writers like he wrote Batman. I'm forgetting his name, but he wrote a story for Wonder Woman in Deadpool and Batman where she crosses over Captain America and he's about to kill the guy from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and she stops him saying it's not just because he's not holding a weapon, he's not threatening you anyway, so you shouldn't kill him.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
yeah.
if that was Wonder Woman from 2006 when I'm blanking on all these writers' names. But if it was that writer from 2006, she would have murked him, like no question.
True. I see your point there in regards to how she moves in in that fashion. It's
But like when anyone hops on Batman, he's never gonna kill ever.
part of me feels like too. I don't. Oh, I can't remember how familiar she was with like with Nazis at that point, because I feel like somebody like Cap or of the characters that are lived in outside of Themyscira in like the man world will kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand. Oh, these are evil individuals that gotta go. Versus in her eyes, they're men like every other man. They're just on an opposing side.
Mm-hmm. I think she would be familiar with it because even though like you see those books, that's New History of DC Universe,
Yeah.
where her mom was the Wonder Woman of World War II. Even though I don't really like the history, it makes sense for her to know about the Nazis in World War II and know the horrendous acts that they did. But so that just doesn't add up when you think about her character from pre New 52, where she's a justified killer, to now where people have been writing her as more of a I'll only kill if they are threatening me directly or people directly. But if it's a situation where they found him with no weapon and he's surrendering, you can't kill him. It's a
Yeah.
they're writing her in different ways now.
I guess it does make sense too that like the Amazonians would like see what's going on outside of the bounds of the world to be updated on stuff.
Yeah.
Um, which yeah, because I think I remember that being a case in like one of the animated movies where she was talking about that of how destructive mankind is and whatnot, and why that's why Themyscira hides. I see a point there. It's interesting.
Yeah.
In that fashion. Now there's one more relationship in particular that you kind of touched on when it comes to like the Emma Frost thing. I can't remember if you touched on this one in particular, but the whole idea of either the thruple of not Steve, but of Scott, Jean, and Wolverine, or even if you're looking at just Scott and Jean. I ain't gonna hold you. First off, for anybody that's new to the channel, it's always fuck Scott Summers here. Fuck Cyclops. Um,
Damn.
but I don't know why I hate this so much. Their whole dynamic. Part of me is like, because it's sort of those same issues we talked about earlier, where because the characters have been around for so long, you've moved through almost every possible facet of you can see from them. So you kind of revert to making them this tortured couple so you can draw people in because they want to see them together so bad.
Yeah.
But I'm just
You
like,
can also
they
choose
just put each
sides
other.
with it too.
Yeah. Plus, I'm just like, this man Scott has put her through literal hell. Where okay, you're having affairs on her with in the Mindscape with Emma Frost. You're with Madeline now, so like you're having a whole other child, and you're leaving that child to go back to Jean. You're looking at fucking at Psylocke and bathing suits and shit while Jean's around. Like, first you just cheat on this girl all the time, either physically or mentally, or you're legit leaving the children you already have to go be with. It's like this thing where they're just doing this toxic shit back and forth. And at that point, we're not even accounting for the Wolverine dynamic where Logan comes in and he'll cuck Scott sometimes for whatever reason. Or I think they've even alluded to like certain books of like them being in like a polyamorous couple at one point,
That's
potentially.
new. Yeah.
I think I can't remember what book it was, but there's a moment where like they were drinking, or him and Logan and Scott were drinking or something like that, and they had them look at each other kind of like with a quick glance of like longing or whatever, maybe because we know that a lot of writers have like written the X-Men as being real like open and fluid with their sexuality and stuff like that, to where they just I think
Yeah.
well, I can't remember if it was I know it was in maybe a Black Panther book where like he had a vision of like Storm and all the X-Men being this like fat ass orgy in Wakanda or something like that.
Yeah. That's the image of Emma Frost and Black Panther. Very
Yeah,
nasty.
I was like, yeah, bro, this is. I understand the idea of what you're going for with the X-Men and how they're open and fluid, but I'm like,
That's
bro,
what
they
Black
kind of.
Panther was thinking, by the way. That's in his mind. When he
That's what
thought the X-Men were.
I feel like that's what most people would think, though. Like you got all these people in this house that are, for the most part, passing around each other. It's like it's almost like a high school in a small town growing up, where like everybody has dated each
Yeah.
other because you're in this small little group of people in a small pool. So like
Yeah.
Gambit has dated another X-Men at one point. Rogue has been through the gauntlets. Jean's been through the gauntlets. Scott for sure he running through them between like Psylocke, Jean, Emma.
I
I
mean, it
think
wasn't his part in the first part. Like, she kind of died, and he had to, like, move on, but then she came back, and then it just tumbled after that. Like, he started to just, you know, go
that's always
everywhere.
been my catalyst for why I've hated this man. Though is that particular moment of in the comic it was a lot more drastic and looked a lot more fucked up. Where he's in I don't know if it's Antarctica. He's somewhere in this frozen tundra with Madeline and Nathan, like living their best family life. They're retired. He gets that one phone call like, "Hey, yo, Scott, your girl here." I'm like, what you talking about? My girl over here with me. No, gang. Yo, girl is back. Jean? Really? And hangs up the phone. And before she even realizes what's going on, he leaves his wife and his newborn child to go back to Jean. I'm like, gang, what are you doing? What are we doing
But
here?
at that point, did he know that that was a clone of Jean?
I'm
Was
trying to
he still calling her
remember.
Jean?
I think I don't know if this is after the whole issue with Mr. Sinister where he was trying to introduce a techno-organic virus. I think at this point Nathan wasn't infected yet. I'm trying to remember. I can't
And I
remember.
think he probably thinks she's still Jean, and maybe he's going back to like, what do you mean Jean's still there? That doesn't make. I'm with Jean, so he had to
But
like
it was
go
crazy thing.
blast.
He immediately went back. I gotta find the panel again and try to read that again because immediately he like went back, found her, and is like confessing his love again and like wanted to be with her. And I'm like, gang, you got a wife and a child at home. Even if this is your girl, this is who you fell in love with. Like, why are you? What are we doing here?
Technically, no, he fell in love with that girl, and he just ended up marrying her after she died, and thinking that that girl was her in the first place. So
I can't remember because I think they've retconned this shit a million different times. But in the original version, from what I remember, is that Jean was gone for majority of the X-Men stuff. Like most of the adventures they went
yeah,
on, she was replaced. She was at the bottom of the lake and was replaced with Madeline at that point.
yeah, but she was Jean at that point, though. Like, they thought she was
Yeah,
Jean.
but that's what my point being. Like the person he fell in love with, being Madeline, was Jean. Like that's who he thought Jean was. So like the version of Jean that's alive now, you don't really know for real. You've been through all these adventures and fell in love with this version of this person, not this other person. You want Jean, you want this version of Jean because you think that that's what you should aspire to, the pure version of her versus the person you fell in love with. In my
But they
mind,
weren't they already dating before she died?
they were like dating and together, but that's when she went to the bottom of the lake. So I'm trying to remember that. Again, X-Men has been through so many retcons and so many different avenues and different things like that. I'm trying to remember how all this shit went down exactly in the back of my mind. I gotta reread it. It's been a
That
minute.
would work. It would be a more interesting story if they weren't dating at all before she died, and then when she came back, but it wasn't her. He fell in love with a clone.
Yes.
But that would be a more interesting story if they ever wanted to tell that again in a different way. But as we speak right now, it's just a convoluted story.
It's convoluted. It's convoluted as fuck. Because literally, I feel like they understood how convoluted it was because that's how you ended up writing off. Okay, how do we get rid of Madeline and Nathan? All right, cool. We'll give a reason to send Nathan into the future so he never has to see him again. And then now Madeline's evil now, so they got to beat her. So we just got rid of both of them, washed our hands of the difficulty, and now he can just go back to pining over Jean again.
Which is very weird. Like they want to build a character up to get them to a point where they can have a wife and kid, but at the same time they're like, we need to bring them back to a point where most of our readers are, which is single and not
Yeah.
don't have a family. Even though most readers now, I go to the comic store, there's a lot of people in there that are way older than me. They bring their kids in. They should have a lot more books that are growing with the readership, like that have been reading since the 90s.
And I feel like in doing so, you get a different facet of the characters that you didn't have before. Because I feel like they do this thing where they introduce the family aspect or the dynamic to the character, but you never get to see how this character being a father or a mother actually changes how they operate and what they think.
Yeah. Again, you can really only see that with Superman. Because when they had John Kent, they actually went through that process, even though they aged him up, which I thought was a mistake. I still think it's a mistake. You get to see a dynamic you never saw from Clark or Lois. They have to be parents now. They have to think about their son and the world that they are protecting more so than they ever did. And specifically for Lois, it's the reporter angle, like the things that she uncovers, the thing that she reports on, and is that a danger for her or and danger for her family? Because she used to be like off the cuff with it, she didn't care because she knew Superman would be there, but then she starts thinking a little bit more about, well, if she's not there, am I really gonna lose my life and leave my son motherless and all that? She has to think a lot more about that.
I think even beyond that, if they want to go with the route of let's say we transition to Spider-Man, right, and then he has Mayday Parker. If they wanted to go the route that they went in, like My Hero with I can't remember which inheritor of all One for All she was, but the hero that had the float ability.
I'll watch anime.
Tom, oh damn, I forgot you don't watch anime. So essentially, the way this story worked is one of the main villains, his dad hated superheroes because his mom was the hero, and his mom would always neglect his family because she was off always being a hero 24/7. And because of
Omni-Man
that,
type shit.
pretty much, but in a toxic manner to where like he wants his mom, but he can't have his mom because the hero thing's always in the way. So that led to him being a horrible father, a horrible parent, and he's like abusing his son and whatnot. So I'm like, you can.
So like when he was a kid.
Yeah. So okay. So the kid of the superhero, he's going through trauma because as a kid and him growing up, his mom's never around. So he has his own family. He has all this unprocessed trauma from not having his mother around, and eventually his mother passes. She gets killed being a hero. So now he never really got to have her as a kid, and then he got ripped away from her. He got her ripped away from him. Period. As an adult, so now he has all this like underlying trauma and depression, and anger. So now he's not the best father now on his end, and that leads to them then creating like one of the main villains for the show through that trauma, whatever. It's like this generational trauma, and it's something that I don't see played around with enough. We have it to where like we saw it a lot with like the Gwen Stacy stuff with Spider-Man, where like okay he'd disappear randomly in the middle of events to go be Spider-Man or whatever it may be. That led to like a rift in their relationship. But I feel like we don't get to see that with a parent of like, okay, what does a non-present, non-active participant in a child's life look like if you're a superhero? So you're genuinely not being the best parent because you can't be because you're protecting people.
I literally just read Cheshire and Cheetah. where they're robbing Justice League. And if you didn't know, Cheshire has a kid with Roy Harper.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like
I'm
Lion,
pretty sure they carried
Lion?
that over from Young Justice. I'm pretty sure. Well, is
No,
he
it was
Arsenal? I
before
think.
that.
Was before? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm tripping.
yeah. But she was always like a child until recently. Now she's like a teenager,
Mm,
and she was with her dad for a little bit. They have like this co-parenting thing going on. Even though she's still an active villain, he's an active hero. They're still co-parenting, and so she's with her right now. And basically, when she's with her dad, she's a hero, and when she's with her mom, she's kind of a villain. And they're stealing something from the Justice League right now. And her mom sends her up to the Justice League because everyone knows her, Roy Harper's daughter, and she's being used as a scapegoat or as a distraction, basically, because Wonder Woman knows her.
mm-hmm.
And that's like a factor I think people can use a lot more, especially with characters that have children with villains. Like she's a hero, but at the same time she's a villain. She has two different cards. She has one that says her real name, where she's a villain, and then she has one that says Cheshire Cat, where she's a hero. She has a Justice League card, and it just shows the duality in her type of character. They're growing her out as a character just off the basis of her parents being on two different sides of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you could do that with more characters, I think. Damien, not really anymore because he's grown so much, but
Yeah.
beginning he could have ended up that type of way.
At bare minimum, I think I really enjoyed what they were doing with him initially with in the animated movies or the DC. I can't remember, not the DCAU, whatever they call
Uh
the animated movie universe they had
DCAMU.
initially. Yeah, that I thought that version of Damien was dope because he kind of played around with that whole idea a lot earlier on, where he was Batman's son, but still like doing wild shit, like throwing batarangs in people's eyes and shit, and doing all the crazy stuff. Which I think he kind of chilled out later on with the Titans and whatnot, and became more of a traditional hero like his dad. But I love that version of Damien where he was like doing the hit girl type of stuff, which I'm honestly excited to see him in the DCU and what they have planned for him in the new version of Batman and Brave and the Bold, because I'm hoping that
That
this
might be
Damien is more
changing.
like, is it?
It might be.
I thought it was
James Gunn
confirmed for what I
said
heard.
he said some things have been changing with that project, and a
Mm,
lot of people have been speculating that it's the whole Damien factor because just it doesn't like Superman is 30, he doesn't even have a kid. I think you gotta build up to Damien because I think what they messed up with Damien is they never let him build his own friend group. They just forced him into the Titans. In the comics, it was even worse, but they just forced him into having friends instead of him growing with friends like John Kent and other characters that are around his age, like his brothers did. Dick had the Titans, Jason had the Outlaws later when he came back, and Tim had Young Justice. He never had a group like that. He never grew like a regular kid is supposed to grow. He was just forced into friend groups after friend groups that never really want him there because he's the assassin kid and he's
right.
kind of weird.
Yeah, but I feel like at least in the DCU, because we haven't introduced too many. I can't think of any young heroes that got introduced in any of the projects so far. I don't think we've really seen any for the most part.
Yeah, that's
Um,
why I would think they would wait on Damien and do more. If at the latest you can do Tim, maybe at the latest, but really you should probably do Dick or Jason.
But I think that he can be the catalyst, though. That's my thing. I feel like, let's say you wanted to spawn off a live action Young Justice series, you kind of do
I
the
wouldn't
similar
want that.
thing. I mean, not that show in like exactly, but as far as like the idea of this co-opt or covert cast of young heroes that does junior Justice League work that's not like them fighting main villains. I think you could use Damien to kind of head that off and kind of it, it didn't need to be Young Justice exactly. It didn't need to be the Titans exactly, but I think you can kind of do that. Kind of what they're doing, similar to the Young Avengers, what they're doing at Marvel now, where they're about to set all that stuff
Mhm.
up to where you have this ragtag group of people that traditionally aren't, at least to my knowledge, I don't think Riri Williams is in the Young Avengers too often. I think she's at one point, but not
A
like in the
little bit, I
original
think.
version of the team.
Hmm.
Or they got like
Isn't the
that.
Young Avengers more like the Titans and the Champions are more like the Teen Titans?
Yeah, more so from what I'm. Again, it's changed a couple times, but no, yeah, because I know because their whole like big plot was the idea of Iron Lad being a different version of Kang, and their whole big battle was them fighting Kang essentially because Iron Lad he was the younger version of him, or whatever it may be, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly. But I don't know, man. I would really love the main reason why I really love this version a lot more is because we start with a version of Batman we haven't really seen too often, if at all, in live action yet, where he's a father. Or you can either have this be where okay, Damien's been around him for a while. It could be a thing where like he just met Damien. But what I don't want is to go right back into the Batflick or the Bale stuff or any of the Val Kilmer or whatever,
Yeah.
any of the other versions of Batman. Where he's just give me the origin story of Batman. He's brooding. He's doing this, that, or the third. I'd rather do what they did with Superman, where you give me a more polished version of this hero and just kind of update me on how he's developed through this journey of being Batman. And I think him being a father is such a crucial point in him developing as a person because he has to learn how to have patience, how to just or speak with people in different ways. Because I feel like with all the other kids in the Bat family, he kind of ruled things with the iron fist, kind of in the same way like where your parents have the youngest child and the youngest child gets the most gentle, soft approach versus when you're the oldest, you get the fucking whip of God put on you because you're the first child.
Yeah. I see that, but at the same time, I just know from reading so much Batman is he wasn't in Damien's life to begin with in the first half of his life. I'm not talking about
Right.
when he was Talia. I'm talking about when he came to Gotham and Talia left him in his care. There was a period of 4 or 5 years where that man did not touch Robin's suit. Batman did not care about him, as in like you're not going out in the field because you kill people.
Right.
That's the end of that. It wasn't until he died and Dick became Batman. There's like you need training. You need to like not kill people, and I'm gonna
Right.
teach you to do that. It's more of a brother relationship that can appreciate more than a dad trying to temper down his emotions because your son is exactly like you, except he has no filter.
Do you think Gunn would be as extreme as to have this version of Batman start off being Dick and versus being Bruce to start off with?
See that he doesn't have the balls for that. He's not doing that. But
It'd be
I
so
would
fucking
love that.
extreme. The only thing I know for sure that we're doing is that this version of Batman is going to be like it's going to have the blue and gray color scheme versus the traditional
I don't
black and
even
gray.
think
I
he
think
hasn't.
that I know because I think we've talked. I think he's talked about in an interview like him liking that particular version of the suit. Or
Say he
maybe
likes both.
I'm tripping. I swear to God, I thought I saw an interview where he was talking about like wanting to go in that direction, and it makes
No,
even
he
more
said he
sense
liked
to
Denny O'Neil's suit, which is the blue and gray one. But
yeah.
he always said that like it could be either one. Just literally doesn't matter to him because
I
he
feel
said
like
he likes the grittier stuff, and that means he said that he likes the black suit and the gray suit just as much as the
the
blue
Frank
and
Miller
gray. It's
stuff.
really up to the director and where they want to go with the story.
I feel like he probably want to push the direction into the more blue and gray stuff. Just looking at what they've done with Superman, where they made him a lot more like traditional, goofy. Because
Yeah,
this whole universe he's building out is going to be a lot more goofy and surreal and like over the top, more so than the Snyder gritty, dark stuff. And what it seems like, we'll have like our moments of obviously the dark energy and tone. Like obviously with the like the Clayface film. Well, I don't know if that Clayface movie is in the DCU if I remember
it
right.
is.
It is okay. Like we'll have movies like that, obviously in different projects like that that'll be like horror based or dark in tone. But I feel like for most of this universe is going to be that whole idea of how comic books were originally in like the Silver Age or the Golden Age,
Mm.
where it was just over the top. So like the draws outside of the fucking suit, outside of the pants, and the brighter colors,
Yeah, he actually didn't want the underwear or what's it called
and the
the
briefs, I guess.
pants. Yeah,
Yeah.
briefs. Originally, David Cornswell had to convince him to put that on because
Mm-hmm.
the costume looked silly without it. I don't know why he thought to go without that, but I'm not gonna lie. For the DCU, my hype has been falling just a little bit because the things that he pitched us on is
Mm-hmm.
not the things he's directly delivering on per se. Because I was expecting a lot more critique when it came to his media and his films and TV shows, but it hasn't been so much as a critique or so much as like a showcase of things you could talk about and not really he didn't really try to have a definitive stance on things whether that's in Peacemaker or Superman, especially when he kept commenting on things after the fact. It just kind of devalued what he did in the original art he was making.
What
And to
is
go
so?
forward,
And what stance do you feel like he didn't stand on? Like, I guess we can go to Peacemaker because I feel like Peacemaker, at least in my opinion, is where he like hard stood on particular stances or perspectives on things.
Well, the hard stance he was trying to make was that Nazis are bad,
Obviously, yeah,
and
yeah.
but at the same time he was humanizing a person who is standing by and not doing anything, which is could be the same thing as what his brother in the other universe was doing. He was enabling, and his father was a person standing by and saying he's doing the best he can. When you could have critiqued that in a way where he's not, he's still, even though he says you can't call me that word, you still are that word in a sense because you're not doing anything like what's his name, homie, not sports master,
Oh,
vigilante, like
Judo Master.
vigilante.
Oh, Judo Master. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, vigilante is actually fighting against the Nazis in his world, unlike a person who is literally benefiting from the Nazis in his world. And I think him killing him is a good thing, as in it shows that his stance was never the right one, but it's just kind of devaluing what he did in the finale when he's trying to connect those things that happened in those events in episode 7 with the characters going on and saying are what they doing helping the world or hurting the world when it comes to finding that new place salvation as a prison, and they never like fully close that story arc when it comes to how they are going to be helpful in destroying that system that they are part of right now. The same way that his dad in the other universe didn't do anything to stop them is the same thing they're doing right now. And he's saying there's not a season 3, so it just doesn't fully come together.
So I can agree from like the closure aspect of him not really closing that story all the way, but I think more of that has to do just for the factor of although there isn't going to be a Peacemaker season 3, we know for a factor that's going to spill over into a movie or a different spinoff series because we know that it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
In the way it is
Man
because
of Tomorrow.
yeah, he's set up too much stuff in regards to the like especially Salvation is too big of a potential plot point for the future of the DCEU for them not to go back to it. So I think it'll be revisited and
Mm-hmm.
that those character arcs will be revisited because I think he's going to try to have things be a lot more fluid in regards from shows to movies and movies to shows.
Yeah.
But I do to your point on his dad, at least the we'll say the good dad, just because the other one was a legit racist. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel as though that's just a lot more reflective in of real life, and I think that's where the critique came in, to where even to your point, to where you saw somebody that stood by and he did the best he could, but he didn't fight everything. That death at the end kind of like served to showcase to your point that hey, this probably wasn't the right way to go because you did all that at the end and you died a unceremonious death,
Mm-hmm.
getting killed by a vigilante. I don't know. I feel like there's some difficulty that he's going to have with writing some of these things out because he's building this universe out. And if you don't want it to feel
Yeah.
like the MCU to where the movies and the shows feel so separate from one another, you got to have it to where they flow within one another a lot more smoothly. So you're going to have a lot
Yeah.
more open-ended ending of films and movies leading up to the big event of what I'm assuming is going to be Brainiac, because I don't think he's going to. From what I remember him talking
Yeah,
about, I
it's
don't think he's going to jump
Brainiac
the dark side
confirmed.
anytime soon.
It's Brainiac confirmed that
Yeah,
that's gonna be Man of Tomorrow. It's Brainiac. But he also pitched like these stories were going to be independent, as in they're happening in the same universe, but the stories themselves they don't rely on things in different spaces. Like, but for the first 3 things to come out of your universe is all written by you and all connecting to each other.
it's going to be tough, yeah, for the future stuff.
I mean, like I'm really hoping Lanterns is good. I really am, but they haven't dropped anything, and drops Q1 next year. I don't get it.
Part of me is worried about that. The other part of me isn't. Just in the factor of part of the issue I've had with a lot of the way media drops for a lot of stuff has happened up until this point is that we get trailers, we get announcements for everything about a show. Kind of what I hate about video games now a little bit too is where like we'll get a trailer for something 2 years before it drops or a year before it drops, and it's hell even if you look at the MCU and like just let's say we're looking at the Multiverse of Madness or No Way Home, where motherfuckers had the entire plot of the movie figured out and plotted out from either be New Rock Stars or any other publication had it plotted out like a year or 2 years before it even came out. Even with Brand New Day, the new fucking Spider-Man movie, people we know the entire plot, or at least seemingly the entire plot of the film already, with the factor of we'll get a Savage Hulk, Punisher's here, Mr. Negative's here. We're gonna have this whole thing where we're gonna get the Hulk back in action. At least me, maybe it's just my preference. I would rather go into the movie not knowing almost anything, so that way I'm not going in expecting or having a preconceived notion of what this should be in my mind, especially because this material is based on a previous story. As part of why I hated Ragnarok so much, or because in my mind, we're getting Planet Hulk. But no, we got some fucking goofy shit that just had a Hulk in there with aspects of Planet Hulk. So I feel like I feel like a lot of my anger is justified because I feel like I had that expectation because that's what you did with it as far as giving me all these details beforehand. But at the same time, if this wasn't what you were doing, I can't go in expecting this to be something that it's not.
Yeah, I feel that. I think that's more for movies for me. Like I'd rather go in blind. But I think when I'm anticipating something like Lanterns, where I've been just rereading every Green Lantern book and I'm just finding out more about the mythos. Like I have a Green Lantern video I want to make for it not to be in the cards where there's any type of promotion for the show that's supposed to be out in 4, 5, 6 months. It's just a little off. And you have Supergirl coming out right after it, but Supergirl is getting a lot more pub, a lot more promotion just based off of people releasing little sneak images of it. Lanterns has had one promo image where they're just in regular stuff. They're in a regular jacket walking down a desolate street. That's all we've seen from Lanterns.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. For the DCU, it's been super underwhelming when it comes to how they promote things, especially. It's all their promotion is yap, 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 and putting big expectations on everything they're doing, and a little bit of an under delivery, except for Superman. But it's a lot of big talk, and it's never really a lot of just show and shut up. Show us a trailer and shut up. That's all you need to do.
My question would be, how much of that big talk is coming from their camp versus people's expectation on what it should be? Because I feel like everybody has this preconceived notion. Is it? Okay.
I think for Peacemaker, it's definitely coming from James Gunn. He literally hyped up those last 3 episodes like they were the next thing in all of superhero media. And then it just turns out to be you did Nazis. Okay.
Yeah,
that was cool.
I love the twist. I thought the twist was really well done and funny as hell. But I was seeing like set photos of David Cornsweet on the set for Peacemaker recording, or Lex Luthor was in the episode. Are we about to get some crazy shit at the end? I'm like, okay. But again, I think a lot of that is just people misunderstanding or like putting their own expectations on what he said. Like he says one thing and people get what they want out of what he said to hype it up more, which
that's why you should stop talking. You should stop talking because the way he says things makes people anticipate things because he's not saying no. He's just saying, well, maybe. I don't know. We have to see.
Right. But I think
even though he knows the answer to the question is no.
It's tough, yeah. I think that's part of the things he took from Feige and how they run stuff over there. I don't know. I feel like they're a lot better than what Marvel's done. So, like especially if I'm looking at something like Ironheart, where that show got felt like almost no promotion before it dropped, or Eyes of Wakanda, I know for a fact got like no promotion before that shit dropped. Like I didn't know that shit dropped until like the week after it came out and I went to go binge it.
I think that's because of Disney more, because they have kind of given up on those shows, specifically in Marvel, because of how much money they spend on them and it doesn't make a return. And like Ironheart was ready a year ago before release. They just wanted to wait on it for some reason. And it's a good show. Ironheart's good. I haven't seen Eyes of Wakanda, but they didn't have any promotion, so you can't really tell how good it can really do in the eyes of people. Like in the Nielsen ratings, it did okay, but if it had promotion, it would have done numbers.
it's weird because the Eyes of Wakanda it's canon to the entire like that MCU Wakanda universe. Everything's canon there, and we get to
Mhm.
see like it's gonna be spoilers for episode, but you get to see a older version of the Iron Fist in Wakanda, like a woman version of the Iron Fist, like years before we even like before T'Challa's even born, and we get to see
Mhm.
what an Iron Fist is capable. And long story short, she's able to like wash an entire like room of Wakandan soldiers by herself, and like is she's strong as shit. So I'm like,
That makes
in
sense.
something
Power
that
scaling
big to
wise.
where you haven't seen the Iron Fist in this new version of the MCU yet.
Yeah.
Why would you not try to hype that up more? Or there's episodes where I'm trying to recall all the episodes. They did some crazy shit in each episode where they were essentially like following the role of the War Dogs, whatever Black Panther's his baby moms. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Nakia, like because she was like the agents they send out into the world to do things like that.
Yeah.
Eyes of Wakanda is essentially following each generation of one of those people, like the war dogs that are spies, go out in the world, and you're following their journeys and whatnot, and what they do in the world.
Oh,
So
so it's not following
it's
like different Black Panthers from generations.
it's an anthology series of the war dogs that go out into the world. So you get to see like
Oh,
Wakanda from a different perspective of people that are away from home for so long and have to go through all these different things, and they're undercover agents and spies and whatnot. That's why I liked it a lot. I thought the series was really good, in my opinion.
I didn't know that. That's why I need more promotion. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
like following Black Panthers from different generations.
Mm-mm.
That's why I kind of waited on it.
Yeah, I don't
I
think you
might have to go
see. I
watch
don't
that
think
now.
you see a. I think you see somebody that's in the royal family, but that kid isn't in line to be the Black Panther. He's like he wants to be a war dog.
Uh, Makes
The
sense.
Hatsu Zaraze, I think is the name of the war dogs, the people.
That's
They're
a cool
fire.
concept, actually.
I
And
thought it was
that's
I thought it was really well
produced by
executed.
Ryan Coogler.
Mm-hmm. It was produced by him,
Yeah,
yeah. So he
makes
did his thing
sense.
with that, and then because it's canon too, and because it's so far in the past, you don't have to worry about matching up with exact things, and you can introduce concepts like the Iron Fist now. So that
Mm-hmm.
damn near confirms that we're going to get the Iron Fist again in the upcoming stuff, which we kind of already got confirmation with the at the end of the Daredevil series, where we're seeing like the billboards for the Cottonmouth Club. So we know Luke Cage is going to be coming back. We know I think we've already seen set photos or at least like announcements that Christian Ritter's coming back as well as Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
I don't know if they
I hope
confirmed
it's
talked
the
about the
girl
original
Iron
dude.
Fist though. I don't think it's Finn Jones. I think he's had too many chances. I think they're going with I forgot her name, but the girl
Yeah,
instead,
Wing. I almost called her Wing Chun. Oh my God,
Colleen
Wendy,
Wing.
Colleen Wing. Yeah, because she was the Iron Fist at the end of the end
Yeah,
of the last series. Yeah,
she was,
what I
and he
thought they were
just
gonna
kind of
do.
sucked a lot. So
How? Because that's one thing too that I sat there and thought about it because I went back and rewatched the series. Funny enough, I went back a couple months ago and like rewatched all of the Defenders universe and whatnot from Daredevil to Luke Cage. A
mhm.
lot of his issues I feel like were like the script. I don't think he was a terrible actor per se. Like I liked a
Yeah,
lot of his moments with everybody else and like the chemistry they had. And I like the obviously a lot. I think a lot some of the action set pieces were a little. They could have been choreographed a little bit better, but I liked them for the most
they're
part.
pretty bad.
But I legit think that Buddy like got dealt a bad hand as far as that goes. Now
Yeah,
again, I haven't seen him act in too many things outside of that, so I can't confirm how good of an actor he is. But I wouldn't mind giving him another shot with an actual good screenwriter or a better screenwriter to get better material too.
it depends on what fight he wants to do. For a fact, we know that at least Jessica Jones coming back. I think all of the fans should come back because if you saw how Daredevil Born Again ended, like there's no reason why all the street heroes shouldn't be like gathering and
I
wanting
thought that
to.
last scene was going to be all the men. I thought that was going to be the reveal for them
Yeah,
all
it
being
was
back. I'm like, who the
that
fuck are
was
these
so
random
dumb.
regular people in here? Where's the help at?
They got the bar owner over there,
Like, what is he going
like
to
she's
do?
gonna do something. It made no sense. I think Foggy might be alive though somehow.
Oh yeah, if I remember right, like the story run that they based that off of was like a run where he faked his death. If I remember
Yeah,
right.
specifically with Kingpin's wife, like she faked it.
Mm-hmm. So we're
But
gonna
I
see.
wonder what's the
Plus,
whole thing going on though for it to happen that way. Like 5 years it was, or something like
I
that.
think so.
The time skip.
Didn't they confirm Daredevil's gonna be in Brand New Day? Because I know Punisher's in it. I know the Hulk's in it. I know
I
Mr.
don't
Negative's in it. I don't know if they confirmed
remember.
Daredevil in that show in that movie at all.
I don't remember if they confirmed it. I know that they said like the Kingpin actor himself, I'm forgetting his name, he said he
Yeah, I
can't be
forget
in
all.
Spider-Man movies because of the rights. Marvel has terrible rights. I don't know how Disney can't just buy everything back. they own
I
everything.
think because the people, they know how important stuff is for them, so they're just not. Like, I think Sony is literally holding out because they know they can get it back. Um,
Yeah.
like, because I thought they were in talks to buy back the Spider-Man rights at one point. Because I know that when they went back, they got the X-Men back, obviously, and then I know they went back and got the Fantastic Four. But
Yeah.
I swear to God, I thought they were getting ready to buy Spider-Man after fucking Madam Web flopped, and I'm like, that was like the
Oh,
last.
Kingpin can't be in Spider-Man because it's a Daredevil character technically. That's why he can't be in Spider-Man because
Did
it's
they not
Sony
own the
movie.
rights for Daredevil?
No, it's like Sony has a partnership with Marvel, meaning they could borrow
Oh
their
yeah, because of that.
characters.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess D'Onofrio said he can't be in Spider-Man because it's like it's a legal issue with his character.
I feel like that may be some cap in that though, just for the factor
I
of Kingpin has been in
From
so
his
many.
perspective, I think.
Because he's. I'd argue he's as much a Spider-Man villain as he is a Daredevil villain, damn near.
Yeah, which is I hate that they share villains sometimes because he doesn't have a lot to begin with, and Spider-Man has so many,
I mean,
but
New
he
York is only
has.
so big. Where you put
Yeah,
all these
but
heroes
still,
in
all these
fucking New
other
York
characters
City.
have their own.
You said
Yeah,
what?
all these other characters have their own villains, but Daredevil's most famous villain is Spider-Man's side villain, a prominent
Yeah.
side villain.
But I don't know. It's because I'm trying to think of like all the heroes based in New York, and I feel like
Mhm.
all of them just rotate villains for the most part. I mean, outside of like the Sinister Six, which are usually exclusively Peters. Well,
Yeah,
hell, the Vulture damn near crossovers into Miles stuff now because he's like dating his granddaughter.
yeah, he's dating his granddaughter,
So yeah, I feel
which I
like
like.
again, I feel like everybody shares villains in New York because again, how big is the
But the
California
Vulture makes
villain?
sense because he's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I'm looking at like Luke Cage, Iron. Well, at least the heroes for hire, the Defenders.
They have their own kind of villains. I think when people like get in their own groups, whether it's the Defenders and then you got the Avengers, then you
The
got
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, they all have their own type of villains, and then the villains kind of mismatch, except for like the big ones, Doctor Doom, Thanos.
Right.
Those characters are always going to be like whoever wants it can get it, except for the X-Men. They don't mess with the X-Men mostly. X-Men got their
Yeah.
own villains.
I think mostly because they're not a lot of their heroes aren't street level. I think like with Spider-Man, Daredevil, like the Defenders are all. Like Kingpin is a street level. Well, depending on the story, he's usually a street level villain for the most part.
Yeah.
Because he's usually not like as like he's usually very sort of looking for um like he's seeking out um greater greater power, more response. Like there's a word for it. Ambitious. He's usually not as ambitious as Doom is, as far as like wanting to control the world.
Kingpin.
Yeah, like usually, like well, he wants to be like king.
Yeah.
He wants to be king in like an official manner. It usually feels like Doom just wants all the power to control the world and put it under his thumb. Versus Kingpin wanted to be like the mayor of a city or like president. Versus Doom. Well, I guess if you're looking at new One World Under Doom, it's kind of the same thing too, where he's
Mm-hmm.
politically controlling everything.
I think Doom he acts on it in a very real way, and he could control the whole world if he really needed to, or if he really wanted to. Whereas Kingpin, he has the same thoughts as Doom, but all he can think about to getting to that point is going through the underbelly of crime and going to be mayor of New York, maybe
Yeah,
president one day. That's how he thinks he gets the power. Where Doom, he gets power by dominating everybody.
yeah. Give me the source of supreme power, and I'll take this shit over real quick.
Yeah.
Which is weird because when I'm looking at like One World Under Doom, he could just like subjugate everybody, but he chose to go through like an official manner of like manipulating the public to his whim, or not to his whim,
Because he's
just to
smart.
yeah. So it's he doesn't. I don't know. They do both sometimes. I think Kingpin does cross over into certain aspects a lot, but
Mhm.
so I feel like he's usually not the one seeking like celestial power or like godlike power. Usually,
Yeah.
he's just looking to control like Earth from a street level tier for the most part.
Yeah, I think Doom does it because he has a very high ego,
Mm-hmm.
whereas he only wants to control Earth because he thinks he can. he's not like a need or want to just control
Yeah,
it.
he
He's
should be
just
like he believes he's the rightful person to do it because
yeah,
nobody else can protect. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's really interesting. I know we like veer hella far off the original topic. So, but
yeah, hella far actually.
yeah, we about an hour 30, so we can start to wrap this thing up here. But
All right.
all in all, when it comes to just relationships and comic books as a whole, I think they're like I think when we mentioned like the idea of the different dynamics that haven't been played around with enough, like the abandoned child and hero stuff, or the person that is a child of a hero and a villain. These are different dynamics that could be played around a lot, played with a lot more. I'm just personally tired of all the surface level stuff, the toxicity in a lot of these relationships where it's all right, yeah, you dated this coin character, but you're also gonna date all his friends and his family damn near, and then have that be a weird. You got a whole dynamic that you have to either ignore in future stuff or like you make jokes at. I don't know. Everybody's just real messy in a lot of this stuff.
Really messy. I got the same exact sentiments when it comes to that, but also it's gonna be circular storytelling at the end of the day when it comes to Marvel and DC.
Hmm.
So we just gotta kind of let it roll off our shoulders. It's not really a big deal when it on the big factor, you know. So we just gotta like the books we like and dislike the ones we don't. That's all.
You know, and that is why I always encourage people to read indie because also they're not perfect, but I do think they're because they actually end. They're a little bit more well constructed in regards to how a relationship forms because you have to have an ending to the book.
Yeah,
Like
Gromus
like
is a good one.
Invincible.
Oh, superhero ones.
Oh yeah, like even beyond that, but I was just using that as one that as an example that probably everybody knows about with how that
Yeah,
particular story ends with Mark and what him and Eve go through.
yeah. But they have Battle Beast now. That's probably gonna spin out some new stuff for Invincible in that
I
universe.
bro, I've read like the first three issues and I've been collecting them, but I've not been reading them. I'm so behind. But I noticed it's like a
Same.
prequel, so I'm like, all right, like what are we gonna do? Like we know he's gonna be a rug by the end of the run. So like, what are we gonna do here? What are we gonna introduce
I think
before?
I think it ended. I think it ends on 6 issues. I have all six. I've only read three, so I'm just taking my time with it.
Yeah, I need to finish it out. It started off really good though. I think I really enjoyed the character. I just part of me hated how he went out because I'm like, you didn't leave room for. But I think at that point the finality of it was cool. But I feel like they're trying to maybe milk Invincible a little bit more now that they're knowing they're starting to get into some of the bigger stuff with the show, and then maybe trying to
Yeah,
revive some. I think they're doing spinoffs and whatnot of the other heroes and whatnot in the comics and whatnot.
I think so
I'm
too.
repeating myself a lot today. Jesus Christ. Um, but yeah, before we get up out of here, do you want to tell people where they can find you? You know what your channel is, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Unlucky Dreamer on YouTube. I mostly do video essays about comic media, any type of superhero media. I've been trying to do some more stuff about movies and TV shows. Yeah, that's about it. Unlucky Dreamer on Twitter, Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah, and again, y'all can find his channel. It's literally linked in the title of the video. So if you just click on the highlighted like his name, it'll like take you directly to his channel. And again, dude does amazing work, does dope work. And
thank you.
I'm actively like really enjoy a lot of the videos that you do in the way that you do them. Just because I missed the art of the video essay and how it's done because you usually do faces for the most part too. So you even have that like older nostalgic look of the video essays that I used to watch growing up and whatnot. I
Mm.
turned the camera on because I feel like I had to. I was tired of doing the. I have my animated chibi, but I was like, damn, I'm tired of editing this thing in here, moving all the fucking time.
I'm
Um,
thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it actually. But for now, I'm still on the animated thing.
I mean, at bare minimum, you could like slip it in for different moments and whatnot. At least until you feel like you get a camera that you really think that is a good quality that you want to start with. But
Yeah,
it's dope. I think again, you still you do dope stuff. You have that nostalgic that factor of it, and everything else sounds great and looks great. But again, guys,
thanks,
check
man.
out his stuff. If you guys wanted to see more of an in-depth conversation on what he thought about this particular topic for this stream, his video on relationships is the main thing that sparked this. So go check that shit out. That was dope. And again, at least for me, as far as things go, you guys can expect two videos that are on the horizon. One, I'll be discussing my thoughts on the Batman Beyond Static crossover book that should be out tomorrow at some point. And then funny enough, I'm doing a video where I'm playing around on why Stephen King hates kids. So I'm gonna recap all the ways that he fucks with kids and all his stuff and how that goes. So I'm trying to I gotta write that script for that video.
Have you
I
read
may
all his
freestyle that
books?
one. All of them, no, a good bit of them. Like some of the stuff I didn't know Running Man, the new movie that came out, which if you haven't seen it,
Yeah,
amazing movie by the way.
yeah,
I
it's
didn't even
really
know that was
good.
Stephen King book until I like went to go see the movie, and I'm like, damn, this yeah shit is not horror, I guess, or maybe I don't know if Edgar Wright just adapted it into being an action comedy, and maybe it was originally a horror, I don't know, but
Mhm.
Buddy does not like kids at all. So I'm gonna play around with that video.
Yeah,
Again, that'll be out soon. And then lastly, obviously Reaper, my debut comic that will be out hopefully sometime within the next 2 weeks. I only have like 2 pages left to get colored, and then we'll send it off to the letterer. And then once it gets back from the letterer, we'll just start shipping out orders to people that pre-ordered. And then for anyone that pre-ordered digital version, you'll have that directly into your email right away. So, again, thank you guys so much for the support as far as that goes. And again, if you guys are new to the channel or the stream, this is the Captain's Lounge. We are on the Dojo, obviously, but the Captain's Lounge is a live stream thing that I usually do where I try to, talk about different comics or different creators in a podcast format, so I don't have to write a fucking script for it, and kind of just shoot the shit with people that I think are dope and have genuine dope conversations. So I'm gonna try to have these done more often, where I can maybe do a comics of the week review thing for each comic book day, each brand new comic book day. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode 29 of the Captain's Lounge. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.